So most people are confused about what's going on in the market today. A lot of people are pursuing a path that doesn't exist or is quickly disappearing and shifting. And if they aren't, they're struggling to figure out what to do now in this job market. And it's crazy. There's so many things happening. I know it can be very difficult to orient yourself. It can feel overwhelming. And so I want to communicate some of the things that I've been learning about where the job market has been and where it's going in the future. Now, I'm going to give you a quick preview. We're going to start by looking at what happened way back when in the agricultural revolution. And then we're going to skip ahead to talk about and break down what happened in the industrial revolution. And then we're going to talk about the times that we find ourselves in now, because they're very different times. Each revolution produced a different type of worker, a different type of person, and it rewarded different things. The agricultural revolution rewarded land and labor. If you had land and you were willing to work that land and you knew how to work that land, you found yourself benefiting. The industrial revolution, slightly different. If you owned the means of production, which weren't land anymore, they were technological. There were these big machines that a few people owned and a few people really benefited from. But we find ourselves in a completely different time. We find ourselves in a more entrepreneurial revolution. So before we get into that, I want to break down what a job looks like. We'll talk a little bit about the dynamics of the entrepreneurial revolution, and then we'll get into what you can do, the one thing that you can do that will set you apart and give you the tools necessary to benefit in these changing times and not fall behind, because there are some people that are really killing it right now and other people that are figuring it out. But I think that everybody has the capacity to benefit in this time. And when I say everybody, I mean a lot of people, including you probably. So let's look at the agricultural revolution. Before that, it was hunting and gathering. Before that, you had a few people that would keep the shelter secured, and then people would go out hunt and bring food back. That changed when we understood how to cultivate land, how to set up shop in one area and make it work for us. That allowed us to grow societies, that allowed us to collect around a specific space, a specific land, and feed ourselves. It allowed for us to move into surplus. Now, that shift changed when we started to develop our tooling, to develop our technology. And there's two industrial revolutions. I'm going to couple both of them for the sake of the getting to the point. But the main thing happened there was we started to build machines and we started to become more efficient in the way that we produce tools that allowed us to feed ourselves more efficiently, and that allowed us to basically create more wealth in a standardized way. And that economy rewarded showing up and specialization. If you guys are familiar with Henry Ford, you know the whole assembly line uh, framework, where you give people a specific task, you say, get very good at that specific task, and we'll put you into a system and we will be more efficient overall. Now, there's benefits to that, as we can see, but there are also drawbacks to that. And the particular drawback is the lack of being able to understand how the whole system works and then also to generalize around that. Now we find ourselves in the entrepreneurial revolution. And this is an extension of the gig economy. I think it's slightly different in terms of how it's going to unfold and the expansion, the range of work that's accessible now. But it is an extension of what we've been seeing play out over the last few years. The difference is that it's quickly becoming the only way that we can find work and survive. So the entrepreneurial revolution is based around the entrepreneur. So what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody who does things to circumvent risk. Now, before, in a world where we were encouraged to specialize and go and apply for a job for somebody else, that was something that was seen as more risky. But now that companies and businesses are finding it harder and harder to justify employing somebody when the work that they had that person do is now able to be automated by a machine, It's creating a dynamic where we have to go and exercise our ability to do things on our own agency to go and provide for ourselves. So what does that look like? Well, before I get into how we can take advantage of that, I want to introduce a concept called an offer. So in the past, in the industrialized revolution, we would make offers to people, or a business would make an offer and say, hey, if you do this job for me, if you do these tasks for me, then I will give you these benefits. I'll give you some pay, I'll pay for your health insurance, et cetera, et cetera. And those packages have changed over the years. But the premise was that I have tasks that need to get done. And if you work for me, I will compensate you accordingly. That's changing again because we can delegate AI to do some of these tasks. Not all of them, but a growing number of them. And we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we missed the boat and we're late to the party because we didn't understand that the tasks that were done by people in the past are now being automated. So what that leaves us with is we have to understand how to wield an offer and create offers, but then also understand how the offers are changing. Now businesses aren't necessarily saying, hey, I am going to give you all of these benefits for doing this work. What they are saying is, hey, we'll do something a little bit more temporary. And if you can knock this out, maybe we have an extended relationship, but it's not going to be the full-time relationship that we had in the past. I was reading recently about how Amazon said that they will hire somebody, but they're encouraging you to skill up while you're there because it's not going to be a long-term thing. More and more businesses are being open about this. We're seeing this in the number of recent layoffs, even though companies are profitable. And I think we're going to continue to see that. So what that means is we have to understand that the offer has changed. The offer that's on the table is not what it was in the past. And we have to build around that. And the skill that I want to make sure that everybody leaves with in this video is understanding how to make your own offer. Now, an offer is just that. It's something that you're going to give to somebody else. In the world of business, though, it's appropriate to ask for something in return, especially if what you're offering is valuable. So what we encourage everybody to do in this new time and in this new era is to come up with a list of offers. It's not going to cost you anything to come up with a list of offers, but it can make you a lot of money. You have to find out how to make somebody an offer they can't refuse by looking at your interests, by looking at your skills, and looking at your experience, and finding out how you can offer something to somebody that reflects something that's valuable to that person. And if you can do that, then you'll find yourself in a position where you can earn effectively in this new economy. So, without going on too long, offers are really important in this stage. Just to recap, we started in the agricultural revolution. We graduated into the industrial revolution where the means of production were technology based, they were owned by a few people. But now in this entrepreneurial revolution, these means of productions are accessible by so many more people. And so what that allows us to do is it allows us to go and have more agency when we go out there and work, and when we're going out there and making and accepting offers. What it doesn't allow for us anymore, and this is where people are feeling that angst, is the offer that was on the table isn't there anymore. So my main call to action for you guys is to write down something that you know how to do that maybe your friend or family member doesn't know how to do, that annoying thing where they keep asking you to do it, because if you do that, you'll find an offer there. But if you're still having trouble finding an offer, what you can do is you can go to constance.com, and not only will we help you generate an offer if you have nowhere to start for free, but we will provide you the tools to then go and support that offer. If you need a landing page, a link in bio, if you need to be able to set up your calendar appointments, webinars, digital products, events, we have you covered. So don't take my word for this. Go out there and take action, and we'll catch you next time on the Constance Corner. Good luck out there. Peace out.